Have you ever wondered if someone you love was hiding something? I never thought I'd be the one asking that question, until I saw it with my own eyes. That single thought looped in Sienna Calderon's mind as she stood under the neon-lit awning of a Vietnamese takeout place, clutching a warm paper bag in her hands. The city around her pulsed with its usual nighttime energy, cars splashing through puddles, the faint rumble of the link light rail somewhere overhead, and, every so often, bursts of laughter from groups ducking into late-night bars. The rain had let up, but the sidewalks still shimmered, reflecting the reds and blues of traffic signals, the gold glow of street lamps, and the cool whites of storefront LEDs. Seattle had a way of feeling alive and lonely at the same time. Sienna tucked a stray strand of damp hair behind her ear, glancing at her phone. 9:53 p.m. Marcus was still at the office. At least, that's what he'd said when she texted him earlier. She could almost hear his voice. "It's another late night, honey. Big project. Don't wait up." He'd sounded tired, distracted. Lately, that was becoming the new normal. But tonight, she'd decided to surprise him. She'd ordered his favorite, lemongrass chicken and extra spring rolls, and planned to swing by his office downtown. Maybe they'd sit together in the break room, steal a few quiet moments, remind themselves why late nights were worth it. Or maybe, she thought with a twinge of doubt, she'd catch a glimpse of what was really behind those late nights. The air was cool and smelled of wet asphalt and distant coffee. Sienna's breath fogged as she exhaled, nerves fluttering in her stomach. She shook herself, mentally rehearsing the casual, cheerful tone she'd use when she saw Marcus. As she walked, her thoughts drifted back to the last few months. Marcus Ellington, her husband of 5 years, had always been the steady one. Thoughtful, a little reserved, fiercely loyal. He built things for a living: roads, bridges, support beams for the city's endless construction projects. Their marriage, too, had felt like something sturdy, quietly reliable. But lately, it was as if a hairline crack had appeared. It started small: a few missed dinners, a vague answer about a meeting running long, a quick shower before bed without much conversation. Sienna had tried not to read into it. She was busy, too. Her own job as a marketing manager had its share of late nights and deadlines, but there was a difference between being tired and being distant, and Marcus was definitely drifting away. She'd talked about it with Jada Rivers, her best friend since college. Jada had always been the one with a quick smile, a sarcastic remark, and a knack for reading people. Sienna could still hear her voice from their coffee date earlier that week. "Look, Sai, most guys aren't masterminds. Maybe he really is just working late. But if you feel like something's off, trust your gut. Just don't jump to conclusions, okay?" Sienna smiled at the memory, her nerves easing for a moment. Jada was probably right. Still, as she crossed the street toward Marcus's office building, she couldn't shake the feeling that tonight was different. The downtown tower loomed above her, a slab of glass and steel, its upper floors lit sporadically. The lobby was mostly empty, save for a security guard behind the desk, scrolling through his phone. Sienna swiped her keycard, the doors hissing softly as she entered. The marble floor was freshly mopped, and her sneakers squeaked as she made her way to the elevator. She stole a look at herself in the mirrored doors. 32, tired eyes, but still hopeful. A little rain frizz in her black curls, a smudge of lipstick at the corner of her mouth. She straightened her jacket, took a breath, and told herself she was just imagining things. The elevator hummed upward, stopping at the 19th floor. The marketing firm where Sienna worked was 3 blocks away. She'd visited Marcus's engineering office before, but never this late at night. The open plan space was mostly dark, with only a few desk lamps glowing here and there. She could hear the faint tapping of a keyboard, the low whir of a printer, and, somewhere in the distance, the hum of a vending machine. She walked down the hallway, glancing at the names on frosted glass doors. No sign of Marcus. She checked her phone. No new messages. Maybe he was in the conference room or grabbing coffee in the lounge. Sienna hesitated, then texted him. "Hey, surprise. Brought your favorite dinner. Where are you?" She waited, listening to the distant sound of rain against the windows. After a minute, she heard footsteps and looked up, expecting to see Marcus. Instead, a young woman in a hoodie nodded at her as she passed, earbuds in, eyes tired. Sienna's phone buzzed, a message from Jada. "Jada, so, did you do it? Are you there?" Sienna tapped back quickly. "At his office now. Feels weird." The reply was immediate. "Jada, don't make it weird. You're his wife, not a spy. Just say hi and drop off the food. Maybe he'll be thrilled." Sienna smiled despite herself. Maybe she was being paranoid. But as she wandered down the hallway, peeking through office doors, she felt the weight of doubt settle again. The place seemed emptier than usual. She circled back to the lobby, scanning for Marcus's familiar frame. Tall, broad-shouldered, always a bit rumpled from work. No sign of him. Sienna checked her phone again. 10 minutes had passed. Still nothing. She glanced out the window, watching the city below. Taxis darted through the rain, headlights gleaming on wet pavement. People hurried with umbrellas, faces hidden in the shadows. The world felt big and anonymous, easy for anyone to disappear. Sienna's mind raced. Maybe Marcus was in a meeting. Maybe he'd stepped out for coffee. Maybe. The security guard looked up, noticing her lingering. "Looking for someone?" he asked, voice friendly but tired. "My husband, Marcus Ellington. He said he was working late. I thought I'd surprise him." The guard's eyebrows knit together. "Ellington? Civil engineering? Think he left a while ago? Maybe an hour back?" Sienna blinked. "He left? That's what I remember. Saw him in the elevator with another guy. Sorry, ma'am." He gave her an apologetic shrug and returned to his phone. Sienna's heart thudded. She forced a smile, thanked the guard, and wandered back outside. The cool air hit her face, bracing and sharp. Marcus had left early? Why hadn't he said anything? Where was he now? She stood under the awning, the bag of takeout growing heavier in her hands. Her mind replayed the conversation with Jada, the advice to trust her instincts. She took a shaky breath, trying to convince herself there was a logical explanation. From the corner of her eye, Sienna spotted a familiar shape 2 blocks down, a silver sedan parked under a streetlight. Marcus's car. She knew it by the slightly dented bumper, the faded parking decal in the window. Curiosity tugged at her. If he'd left the office, why was his car still here? Was he meeting someone nearby? Grabbing a late-night coffee? Or... She shook her head, trying to banish the spiraling thoughts. Still, her feet began moving before she could stop herself, the city's energy spurring her on. The sidewalk was slick beneath her shoes, the rain starting again in a gentle mist. The hum of traffic was constant, now and then interrupted by a distant siren or the hiss of brakes. Sienna pulled her jacket tighter around her, the takeout bag swinging at her side. As she approached the car, she reached out and touched the hood. Warm, recently driven, but Marcus was nowhere in sight. She glanced around. Coffee shops, an all-night pharmacy, a 24-hour gym across the street. She scanned each window, looking for his familiar silhouette. Nothing. Her phone buzzed again. Jada. "Anything?" "Sienna. His car is here, but he's not." 3 blinking dots, then, Jada. Sigh. "Don't overthink. Maybe he's on a call, or in the gym, or got a ride with a coworker." Sienna typed, paused, and deleted her message before sending. The city seemed to close in around her, the rain growing steadier, drumming on the roof of Marcus's car. She leaned against a lamppost, watching the doorways and windows, heart racing with every shadow that moved. She told herself she wasn't spying, just trying to understand. Trust, after all, was built on honesty, and right now, honesty felt just out of reach. What would you do if you started doubting someone you trust? Would you confront them, wait for more answers, or follow your instincts, even if it meant discovering something painful? Sienna's hands trembled as she clutched the takeout bag, the city's heartbeat echoing in her ears. Tonight, she'd find out what was really keeping Marcus out so late, and whatever she saw, she'd have to face the truth no matter what it was. She took a deep breath, glancing once more at the glowing windows, the parade of umbrellas and raincoats, the blur of city life all around her. The answer was somewhere out there, waiting, and Sienna Calderon was ready to see for herself what secrets the night might reveal. The rain had picked up by the time Sienna turned the corner onto 2nd Avenue, the oily shimmer of streetlights blurring across her windshield. She kept glancing at the passenger seat, where Marcus's favorite banh mi steamed inside its bag, the aroma mixing with the faint citrus of her car freshener. She'd texted him twice, just simple. "On my way, I've got dinner." But there was no reply. Seattle's downtown pulsed with late-night life, even as most office buildings stood dark and silent. Sienna parked in a metered spot a block from Marcus's firm, feeling the tension creep into her shoulders. She'd imagined this moment, surprising him, seeing his tired smile, maybe sharing a laugh over soggy fries. But as she locked the car and hurried under her umbrella, her mind spun with unease. The lobby was nearly empty, posted with a security guard who glanced up from a paperback as she approached. "Evening," Sienna greeted, working to sound casual. "I'm just here to see Marcus Ellington. He works on the 12th floor." The guard blinked, thumb marking his page. "Marcus? I think he already signed out. Left about 40 minutes ago, maybe closer to an hour." Sienna's stomach dropped. "You're sure?" "I thought he was working late." The guard shrugged, apologetic. Sometimes folks forget to log out, but I saw him leave. Sorry. She thanked him, trying to steady her breathing as she stepped back into the rain. Her phone buzzed. Jada's name lit up on the screen. Did you find him? Jada's voice cut through the static of the city, warm but edged with concern. No. The guard said Marcus left a while ago. Sienna ducked into the recessed doorway of a yoga studio, out of the worst of the rain. He's not answering his phone either. Maybe his phone died, Jada offered. Or maybe he went out to grab something to eat and left his phone at his desk. Don't panic, see? Sienna wanted to believe her. She pressed the phone to her ear, eyes scanning the office windows above. A few glowed blue with computer screens, but most were dark. I know, she whispered. It's just, he's been working late so much and now he's not here at all. Jada hesitated, then said, Want me to come meet you? We can grab a coffee, talk it through? Not yet. I'm going to check the parking lot. Maybe his car's still here. Call me if you need anything, okay? And Sienna, don't assume the worst. Marcus loves you. Sienna nodded, even though Jada couldn't see her. I know, thanks. She made her way around the block, shoes splashing through puddles, the city's hum like static in her ears. The parking garage was nearly empty, just a handful of cars under the harsh fluorescent lights. Marcus's graphite sedan was nowhere in sight, but as she turned onto a side street, her heart stuttered. Parked at the curb, 2 blocks from the office, was Marcus's car. Its windshield was flecked with rain, and the engine ticked faintly, a ghostly warmth that meant he hadn't been gone long. Sienna hovered across the street, watching, her umbrella trembling in her grip. She checked her phone again. No texts, no missed calls. She dialed Marcus's number, listening to it ring, 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 then roll to voicemail. Hey, it's me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm downtown. Call me when you get this. I miss you. She ended the call, her breath fogging in the cold air. The city felt suddenly vast and unfamiliar, every shadow a question mark. Minutes ticked by. Sienna sat on a damp bench under a flickering streetlight, watching the steady stream of headlights and the late-night delivery trucks passing by. Every time someone walked past, she straightened, hope flickering, then fading again. She tried to distract herself, scrolling through her camera roll, checking her email, opening and closing social media apps. But her thoughts spiraled back to Marcus. Why park so far away? Why leave the office early and not answer her calls? Her mind raced through possibilities. Maybe he'd met up with a friend, or maybe he'd gotten called away for a work emergency. Maybe his phone really was dead, or maybe he just needed some air. But another voice, quieter and sharper, whispered doubts she didn't want to name. The rain intensified, drumming on the metal bench as Sienna pulled her coat tighter. She glanced at Marcus's car again. The wipers were angled mid-swipe, like they'd been turned off in a hurry. A half-empty coffee cup sat in the cup holder. No sign of him. Her phone vibrated. Jada again. Still nothing? Jada's voice was gentle. His car's here, Sienna murmured. But he isn't. A pause. Sigh, listen to me. You know Marcus. You know he wouldn't do anything to hurt you. This could be nothing. Maybe he ran into a client, or went for a walk to clear his head. Sienna's throat tightened. I want to believe that. But he's been so distant lately. I feel crazy. You're not crazy. You're being honest about how you feel. But you need more than just a parked car to go on, right? Sienna pressed her palm to her forehead, grounding herself. Yeah, I guess. If you saw his face lately, Jada. He's tired. But it's more than that. He's somewhere else, even when he's right next to me. Jada's voice was a hug through the phone. Relationships get weird sometimes. People go through stuff. But you and Marcus, you talk, eventually. Maybe let tonight go and ask him when you're both home. Sienna considered it, her heart aching. Maybe. A gust of wind sent her umbrella flipping inside out. She cursed under her breath, wrestling it closed, rain plastering her hair to her forehead. For a moment, she caught her reflection in a darkened storefront, eyes wide, mouth set in a line, the takeout bag now damp and sagging. She looked like someone she barely recognized. She moved closer to Marcus's car, tracing her finger along the fogged window. There was a faint smudge on the driver's side, like someone had wiped at it from the inside. Sienna's heart thudded so loud she was sure a passerby could hear it. She leaned against a nearby lamppost, debating her next move. Should she wait for Marcus to return, risking a confrontation she wasn't ready for? Or should she trust him, go home, and pretend she hadn't seen any of this? Thunder rumbled overhead, and the city's noises seemed to swell. The distant siren, the hiss of tires on wet asphalt, laughter spilling from a nearby bar. Everything felt sharp and unreal. A memory flashed. Marcus, months ago, laughing in their kitchen, teasing her about overcooked pasta, his eyes bright and open. Where had that man gone? Her phone buzzed, a calendar alert this time, reminding her of a meeting in the morning. She silenced it, sighing. She checked the time. Nearly 10:30 p.m. The street was emptier now. Sienna hugged her coat around herself, feeling the weight of her uncertainty. She tried one last time, dialing Marcus's number, straight to voicemail. She glanced at the office building, its facade glimmering with rain, then back at the silent car. She wished she could will Marcus to appear, to explain everything, to tell her she was imagining it all. Her thoughts tangled with the sound of footsteps, a woman hustling past with her head down, a couple arguing softly under an awning. Sienna envied their certainty, their normalcy. Her hands shook as she typed a message to Marcus. I'm downtown, saw your car. Just want to know you're okay. She stared at the screen, thumb hovering over send, before pressing it. Seconds later, the message showed delivered, but no reply came. She closed her eyes, letting the city's sounds fill the silence. Should she keep waiting? Should she confront Marcus when he got home, risking an argument? Or worse, the truth she feared? Jada's words echoed. You need more than just a parked car to go on. Sienna drew a shaky breath and stepped back, giving herself a moment to think. The rain washed down, softening the neon lights and blurring the sharp lines of her anxiety. If you were in Sienna's place, what would you do? Would you confront Marcus now, or wait and see if there's more to the story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what Sienna decides next. This story is just getting started. A cold wind whipped down 4th Avenue as Sienna huddled beneath the narrow ledge of an old brick building, the city's hum now a dull roar in her ears. Her coat was damp, the takeout bag limp in her hand, and her heart pounded with an anxious rhythm that seemed to echo the rainfall. She'd been standing guard over Marcus's car for nearly 40 minutes, watching shadows slip by in the slick, reflected glow of the streetlights. The night had grown colder, the drizzle thickening, but Sienna's resolve held. She needed to know. She needed to see. She hunched further into her scarf, pulling her phone from her pocket for what felt like the 100th time. No new messages, no missed calls. Jada's last text, don't do anything rash, call me if you need to talk, blinked on the screen, but Sienna ignored it, her gaze locked on the corner coffee shop across the street. The place had been mostly empty when she'd walked past, only the barista cleaning behind the counter and a couple whispering in a booth. Now, as the clock on the corner struck 10:21 p.m., she spotted movement inside, a familiar silhouette, broad-shouldered and weary. Marcus. He emerged from the back, not alone, but accompanied by Oliver Tran, his coworker. They walked side by side to the door, their heads bent together in what seemed like a serious conversation. Sienna ducked behind a parked SUV, pulse racing as she watched them step out into the night. The streetlight caught Marcus's profile, his jaw clenched, brows drawn tight in concentration. Oliver's hands moved animatedly, gesturing, pleading, while Marcus listened, lips pressed in a thin line. Sienna's breath caught. They paused on the sidewalk, rain painting silver streaks in their hair, and Oliver leaned in, voice urgent but muffled by the traffic. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, glancing up at the sky, then at his watch. For a moment, Sienna saw the strain on his face, the exhaustion, the worry. She felt a pang of guilt, but suspicion clawed at her again. Why had he lied about working late? Why all the secrecy? Oliver reached out, touching Marcus's arm, and Marcus nodded, finally offering a tired, half-hearted smile. They exchanged a few more words, then parted, Oliver disappearing into the night, Marcus trudging toward his car. Sienna pressed herself against the cold metal of the SUV, adrenaline surging as Marcus passed within feet of her, so close she could smell the rain on his coat. He didn't see her. He unlocked the car, slid behind the wheel, and just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel, head bowed. The tension in his body was palpable even from across the street. Sienna's mind raced, relief that he wasn't with another woman tangled with confusion. She waited, uncertain, watching as Marcus finally started the engine and pulled away, taillights vanishing into the mist. Only after he was gone did she realize her hands were trembling. She called Jada, her voice barely above a whisper. He wasn't alone. He was with Oliver. They looked upset. I don't know what's going on, but it's not what I thought. Jada's voice was gentle and reassuring. Maybe there's an explanation, Sienna. You won't know until you talk to them. Don't let your imagination run wild. Sienna hung up, her mind still spinning. She replayed the scene over and over, searching for clues. Marcus's exhaustion, Oliver's anxiety. What were they hiding? She couldn't sleep that night, tossing and turning, haunted by unanswered questions. The next morning dawned gray and heavy, typical for Seattle. Sienna's eyes were gritty from lack of sleep, and the apartment felt colder than usual. Marcus had left early, as always, leaving behind only a note. Early meeting. Love you. She stared at the handwriting, its steady, familiar loops, and felt a fresh wave of uncertainty. She knew what she had to do. By noon, Sienna was sitting at a corner table in a bustling coffee shop near Marcus's office, anxiety making her stomach churn. She'd texted Oliver that morning, asking if they could meet, just for a coffee, just to catch up. He'd replied quickly, suggesting this place. Now, as she watched the door, she rehearsed what she would say, careful not to let accusation creep into her voice. Oliver arrived a few minutes late, windblown and slightly flustered. He spotted her immediately, offering his usual crooked smile. Hey, Sienna. Sorry, traffic was insane. She forced a smile. No worries. Thanks for meeting me. They ordered coffees, exchanged pleasantries about work and the weather, but Sienna couldn't focus. The clatter of cups and chatter of other customers faded into a blur as she studied Oliver's face. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes, his hands restless on the table. Finally, Sienna took a shaky breath. Oliver, I hope you don't mind me asking this, but is everything okay? With Marcus, I mean. He's been so distant lately, always working late. Last night, I was nearby and saw you two together. You both looked stressed. I'm just worried. Oliver's eyes widened, caught off guard, then softened. He hesitated, glancing down at his coffee. Sienna, I didn't realize you'd seen us. She shook her head, trying to keep her tone gentle. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I just want to understand. Oliver let out a long sigh, rubbing his temples. It's not what you think, I promise. Marcus, he's been helping me. I asked him to keep it quiet, mostly because I'm embarrassed. Sienna frowned, concern overtaking suspicion. Helping you? With what? Oliver hesitated, searching for words. The company's been downsizing. They haven't announced it yet, but some of us knew weeks ago. My position, it's on the chopping block. I have a mortgage, and my wife's about to have our first baby. I was desperate. Marcus offered to help me with a side project, a big proposal that could justify keeping me on. It meant a lot of late nights, and he didn't want to worry you or get you involved in the office drama. Sienna stared at him, the truth settling like a stone in her chest. He's been covering for you? Oliver nodded, shame coloring his face. He's been working overtime, letting management think he's just putting in extra hours for the team. He even told a few white lies on my behalf. I made him promise not to tell anyone, not even you. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Sienna's mind reeled. The secrecy, the exhaustion, the late nights, it all made sense now. Marcus had been carrying someone else's burden, trying to protect a friend, and in the process, had carried the weight alone. Oliver's voice was soft, earnest. Marcus is a good guy. He didn't want you to worry, didn't want to bring the stress home. He thought he was doing the right thing. Sienna blinked back the sting of tears, a mixture of relief and guilt washing over her. She remembered the way Marcus had seemed so tired, so distracted, and now she understood. Everything she'd feared, every worst-case scenario she'd imagined, had been a shadow of her own anxiety. She covered Oliver's hand with hers, squeezing gently. Thank you for telling me. I wish I'd trusted him more. Oliver smiled, the tension easing from his face. You're not the first person to jump to conclusions. But Marcus, he always puts others ahead of himself. Maybe it's time he let you in. Sienna nodded, her heart lighter, the knot of suspicion finally unraveling. She thought back to the night before. The rain, the city lights, the moment she'd doubted the man she loved. The truth, when it finally came, was quieter than she'd expected. But it was enough. As she left the coffee shop, Sienna paused on the sidewalk, breathing in the cool, damp air. The city bustled around her, rain clouds breaking just enough to let a sliver of sunlight through. She pulled out her phone, composing a message to Marcus, her fingers steady. Let's talk tonight. I love you. For the first time in weeks, she meant every word, because now she knew the truth. And with the truth came a chance to start again. Sienna sat in her car, the city's skyline glittering beyond her windshield, the rain having finally washed itself away. The events of the last 24 hours churned inside her like a tide. Her suspicions, the way her heart hammered as she watched Marcus and Oliver through the coffee shop window, and the relief mingled with guilt when Oliver quietly explained everything. Now, daylight streamed through a break in the clouds, casting a hopeful glow over the city. The world felt softer somehow, as if it, too, was ready to turn a page. She watched the crosswalk, waiting for the light to change. In her hands, she turned her wedding ring around her finger, a nervous habit she'd developed without noticing. Her mind replayed Oliver's words from the cafe. Marcus didn't want to worry you, Sienna. He's been trying to help me get through this. He's a good guy, but he takes on too much. A week ago, she would have bristled at that, feeling shut out. Today, she felt something different. She felt gratitude and an aching need to make things right, not just with Marcus, but with herself. The light turned green. She took a deep breath and drove home. Their apartment was just as she'd left it. Cozy, a little cluttered, warm with the smell of coffee and the faintest hint of lavender from the candle she'd forgotten to blow out. Marcus was at the kitchen counter, sleeves rolled up, chopping onions for a late lunch. He looked up, startled, when the door opened. "Sienna?" he said, a cautious smile on his lips. "You're home early." She set her bag down, heart pounding. "Yeah, I wanted to talk." He put the knife aside, wiped his hands on a towel. There was a pause, thick with all the things unsaid between them. The city's sounds floated through their cracked window. Distant sirens, a street musician's saxophone, the echo of someone laughing 3 floors down. "Marcus, I know about Oliver," she said softly. "About the downsizing. About you helping him." His eyes widened, the tension draining from his shoulders as if a weight had slipped away. "How?" "I saw you two at the coffee shop," she admitted, voice trembling. "And I talked to Oliver yesterday. I was worried, Marcus. I thought—" She stopped herself, cheeks burning with shame. "I thought you were hiding something from me, something worse." He crossed the room in 3 quick steps, reaching for her hands. His eyes were gentle, tired, but full of the kindness she'd always loved. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't want to put that stress on you. Oliver asked me not to say anything until things were certain. He's been so anxious. I thought I could help, and still keep our life together running smoothly." Sienna squeezed his hands, tears stinging her eyes. "I should have trusted you, but I let my fears get the best of me." He shook his head. "No, I get it. I haven't exactly been present lately. I let work take over, and I shut you out. That's on me. I don't want to be that person." They stood in silence, the city humming around them, a reminder that life, messy and unpredictable, still went on outside their walls. Sienna realized, with sudden clarity, that trust wasn't just about believing in someone when things were easy. It was about choosing to believe, day after day, even when anxiety whispered otherwise. "I want us to do better," she said. "Be honest, even when it's hard. Share the stuff that scares us, not just the good parts." Marcus nodded, his grip tightening. "I want that too. We can't protect each other from everything, but we can get through things together." She smiled through her tears, a laugh escaping her. "Look at us, being grown-ups and everything." He grinned, that old warmth flickering back. "Speak for yourself. I'm still figuring it out." That night, after dinner, Sienna called Jada from their small balcony overlooking the city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in streaks of gold and violet. She told her everything, her fears, her mistakes, and the truth she'd uncovered. Jada listened, then chuckled softly. "Girl, you survived your first real marriage panic." "Welcome to the club." Sienna laughed, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. "I just wish I'd trusted him more." "Hey, you trusted yourself enough to seek the truth, and you talked it out. That's more than most people do." Sienna held her phone close, grateful for her friend's steady wisdom. "It made me realize I need to communicate better, not assume the worst, and maybe give myself a little grace too." "Exactly," Jada said. "We all mess up. What matters is what you do next." As they hung up, Sienna leaned against the balcony railing, watching the city lights blink on one by one. She felt the past days fall away, replaced by a quiet confidence. She didn't have all the answers, but she was learning, and that was enough. The next weekend, Marcus invited Oliver and Jada over for dinner. The 4 of them crowded around the tiny table, laughter bouncing off the walls. Oliver, now officially safe from layoffs thanks to Marcus's help, raised a toast. "To friends who look out for each other, and to honesty, even when it's awkward." They all laughed, clinking glasses. Sienna caught Marcus's eye across the table. He smiled, squeezing her knee under the table. For the first time in months, she felt truly at ease. After dessert, as the others cleared dishes, Marcus pulled Sienna aside. "Thank you for trusting me, even when it was hard." She hugged him, heart full. "Thank you for letting me in. I promise I'll do better. We both will." He kissed her forehead. "We're a team, Sienna. Always." Weeks passed, and the city shifted from spring to summer. Sienna and Marcus fell into a new rhythm. Busy, yes, but open in ways they hadn't been before. They made time for each other, even if it meant nothing more than sitting together in comfortable silence after a long day, the city's heartbeat thrumming in the background. Sienna learned to check her fears before speaking them aloud. to ask questions instead of assuming the worst. She and Marcus shared their stresses, their worries, their hopes. When work threatened to overwhelm, they leaned on each other, messy, imperfect, but together. One evening, walking home hand in hand beneath the soft glow of street lamps, Marcus stopped and turned to her. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "Any of it?" Sienna considered the question, the city's sounds wrapping around them. "No," she said, her voice steady, "because every time I doubted, I learned something. About you, about us, about myself. And I'd rather grow with you, mistakes and all, than play it safe and never really know each other." He smiled, eyes shining. "Me too." Looking out over Seattle's twinkling skyline, Sienna took a deep breath and felt gratitude swell in her chest. She knew now, trust wasn't a one-time decision. It was a choice, sometimes scary, often imperfect, but always worth it. And if you're watching this, maybe you've been in Sienna's shoes, questioning, worrying, hoping for the best. Maybe you've even discovered a truth that surprised you. What would you have done in her place? Would you have waited or confronted things head-on? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your own stories or advice in the comments. If Sienna's journey resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. Because sometimes, the hardest moments teach us the most about love, trust, and ourselves. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you're never alone in your questions. Until next time, take care, and keep believing in the power of honest connection.